You know what I'm about to say? The shit show continues at Ferrari. So it started off with free practice one, in which Leclerc and Hamilton went off the track several times.
No,
I think they went off the track. I think Hamilton went off twice or three times between free practice one and free practice two. Then at some point, Hamilton said, "These damn brakes." The brakes weren't working. I'm sure it's partly the brakes, but we all know that car is rugged.
Leclerc said they were horrendous.
Yeah, he said horrendous. And because, here's the thing. Because I respect Leclerc, I'm going to respect that the brakes have problems. And let's get deeper into this. So Hamilton, they've been making the excuse that since he came to Ferrari, when they changed the brakes, what's the name of the new brakes he's using again? What do they call them? I forgot the names of the new brakes, but he has a new braking system that he's not used to. He's not used to. Okay. But yesterday, you saw that it was hurting. Leclerc said he was having problems. Hamilton said he was having problems in warm-up mode. I agree with that. So the only thing that we can assume is that their upgrade of adding the brake, brake duct thing to try to cool their cars. Once again, they add something to their car. I'm not saying it caused their car to get worse, but they're having new problems again. They are in that last minute. They tried to, like I said, you try to do the brake duct so you want to keep up with McLaren because of McLaren's cooling. Now the car is worse, or it's just the usual chaos from week to week. What do you think is the cause of their brake problems?
Basically, they said that when he was in Mercedes, he was using the brakes were made of carbon, but now they've moved to Brembo brakes, which is the which is the one Ferrari uses. So I feel it's the learning curve that is being.
What would explain Leclerc saying that it was horrible too? Because Leclerc has been using those brakes.
Yes.
So I'm saying and Hamilton said that the problem is new. So what I'm saying is that the problem tends to coincide with where they made a slight change in the setup of the car by adding the brake ducts at the back. But they haven't added the back suspension yet either.
No.
So
it was the brake ducts.
It seems like they're having new problems, and it can just be chaos. Maybe they tried some new settings and it didn't work. Maybe it's related to the brake ducts that they added for cooling. But I don't think we'll ever really know. In general, the narrative is that the team is clueless. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely clueless. And the window for setup change and manipulation is very narrow. So because of that, the car tends to respond so much to very little setup changes. For instance, the way the engine sends power to the braking system is more sudden, and it affects the car's deceleration, especially when it's entering corners. So this sudden deceleration can upset the balance of the car, making it harder to control. And I guess that's why Lewis Hamilton was complaining, because transitioning from Mercedes to Ferrari, it wasn't like that in Mercedes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is that Leclerc has been arguing about it too. So what I want to know is, what do you think is the problem? Because if it was just transitioning, then why is Leclerc struggling too? Leclerc's not transitioning.
I think it's the balance.
I'm talking about this weekend. I'm not talking about...
Yeah, this weekend. That's what I was saying, that is the setup. They made a little setup upgrade to the brake duct. And I think the car responded negatively to that by bringing this car kind of unbalanced and unstable feeling and effect on the car. Because they did mention that they actually made some, subtle change.
Yeah, he said they made some subtle changes, and all of a sudden the car goes like this. And this goes back to what we said.
The car is too sensitive to upgrade changes.
And we said it last year when they decided to train they changed their front suspension. Then they changed 90+% of their car. What do you expect when you make that many changes and you don't? Apparently, they didn't put enough money into wind tunnel and correlation tests. To me, it was too quick a window of time to change all of that and to be able to know what the consequences are. So I think right now is that they tinkered with their car, changed the front suspension, and they didn't have the concept fully detailed in their minds. And then that's the problem now. Look at Newey. Newey is building the car for next year for Aston Martin. And even this is not enough time for him, 1 year. So how much more? They didn't take a year. The season was over in December, right?
Yes.
And from December to now is not even a year. As soon as January came, they changed their car. They made changes which you're supposed to do over a period of a long time, or at the beginning of regulation changes, like next year. You say, oh, the car is suffering because we changed our concept, but then you have 3 or 4 years to develop. But you don't make radical changes like that the last year. So then now even Leclerc, who was fighting for poles and everything, is at the back of the pack. Do you know what it means for Leclerc to not be a contender? This guy is just as good as Verstappen, or almost as
Yeah,
good as
sure,
Verstappen.
sure,
He's not as
absolutely.
detailed as Verstappen, but apparently, point to point for one lap, he might be the best qualifier in F1. He doesn't even have the material, so they ruined that car. And part of the reason they ruined that car is because they brought in Hamilton and they wanted to make changes to make him happy. In a word, as I always say, stupid. And I'm also going to add a new word this week, incompetent. And I'm going to add a third word, not a third word, a third phrase. Vasur, either you're an idiot or your owners are idiots. What's going to be at Folabi? Is it a Vasur or is it the owners? Is it who the hell made the decision to change all those parts on their cars? Once again, I don't think they have engineers at Ferrari. What are your thoughts?
And it's rather ironic because Italy has always produced very very good engineers, and if you look at the situation here, it's like they just threw a spanner in the engine of the Ferrari car, and everything just went haywire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did
Mm-hmm.
very well towards the back end of last season. They were competing, with McLaren
Oh, no,
for
it
the.
came down to the last season, to the
Yeah, it
last
came down
race
to
of
the
the
last
season.
season. Now, because you brought in Hamilton from Mercedes, you now do a holistic change. Why do that? Why
It
not
doesn't
give
make
the
sense.
car? It
No,
doesn't
no,
make
no.
any sense. All because you want the car to be suited to a single driver. You don't do things like that. What you do is you
What place
try,
did they?
yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
you try and explain to the driver, show him telemetry and data to understand how the car works. Then the driver then fits and adapts his own driving style to the car the way it is. All they needed to do was, minute modifications, nothing holistic. It wouldn't have affected them. Now they don't even understand the way the car works because simulation gives them a certain kind of information, but the outcomes are different from the information they get from simulation. So it's like they're guessing. It's like guesswork. They don't know how
And you
to
know what? I'm
predict
surprised because,
anymore.
and so let's go back to Hamilton. These damn brakes, or that's what he said this week. Last week he was rude to his engineers. Would you like to have some tea? So all your goddamn complaining, and then he made no improvements. He came P10 and FP3. Meanwhile, Leclerc, who made a slight complaint, he said the brakes were horrendous. P5. This is fantastic that Leclerc can come as high as P5 in that garbage truck. It's not even a car, it's a truck. Leclerc came P5. And trust me, that's pushing that car. You get my point? And Leclerc is half a second behind Norris per lap at that pace. It's going to even be more in race trim. But Hamilton came P10 behind Albon, behind Haja, behind signs of Williams. Of course, Russell was ahead of him, so that's no excuse. Meanwhile, Antonelli P4 for free practice 3. Antonelli's driving quickly. But let's go back to Hamilton. Hamilton keeps saying that it's because of the change to the Brembo brakes. Here's what I'll say. Hamilton, these cars are very stiff. The new cars that we have are very stiff, and you can't be um, late braking hard and sudden the way he did in the era with the cars that could handle that. You get my point. These
I
ground effect
understand.
cars can't handle that style of drift. So I don't think it's the braking system. I think it's because the rules have changed, the regulations have changed, and if you brake hard and late like Verstappen does, not Verstappen like Hamilton does, the car is going to jerk and on corners is going to cause a lot of problems and it's going to be erratic, which is why I think he was going off the track a lot because he's reverting to his old style of driving where he tries to brake late and hard. It's not going to work. If you look at guys like Verstappen, um, Leclerc, and these guys, they're much more smoother. They time their braking more gradually, or make sure that it's smooth because it's all about being able to carry a constant speed through the corners and then have a good exit speed. So what they do is try to build up momentum rather than late and hard. Sometimes they may come in a little bit, turn in sooner, and come in slower at the start of the corner, but then build up speed, especially George Russell. So basically, in this ground effects area, you have to be smooth. Lando Norris is smooth. Piastri is smooth. Verstappen is aggressive and smooth at the same time. Fantastic. I think Antonelli hasn't gotten that smoothness yet. Leclerc smooth. So the problem is Hamilton's driving style goes back to the days of where you could treat the car as if it's a horse that you can push around anyway. What do you think? Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. He would have
Yeah.
to adapt to whatever it is that
Adapt to
Ferrari.
40. Adapt to 40. It's like telling you and me that we have to learn the new dances these young children do.
I
All this
understand. I
amapiano,
understand what you're
amapiano.
saying.
They
whatever
say
it
Amapiano.
is,
We were used to bluesing. We did blues dancing. Daddy, come and do Amapiano. I already
you
have
know
pop
what I
belly. How am
think?
I going to
Moose,
do Amapiano?
Moose, you know what I think? This is round 7. Once they come up with another poor result this weekend, they're going to be considering replacing Lewis Hamilton because the
Oh,
money
he might
that,
go this year. And he made
yeah,
several mistakes. See, people are not talking about this.
they're going to bring in
Last
Olivier Man. They're going to bring
in
in Olivier
Miami,
Man.
Monsieur came to his hotel room. When the team principal comes to your hotel room, and then you tell him, calm down, you're too sensitive. That means the writing's on the wall. Remember what we said. I have an empty bottle of wine here. In the fans of Italy, they're being polite now, but eventually they're going to take the wine and the vino and pour it in his face and spit at him. You get my point.
I
This
understand.
guy is going to be, he may not finish. I think he'll finish this year, most likely. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Bierman come in for him once or twice, even
Yeah.
before the end of this year. No, but
But
Bierman is with Haas.
I feel
He's with Haas.
also that for
He's with
Ferrari
Haas.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
for Ferrari to solve this problem, they might have to revert to the base design because they've
They didn't like
tinkered
the
with.
last year's design. But here's the sad thing. Last year they were 15 points behind McLaren in the constructors. So they had a car. So what they should have done is take the concept of their car and say, where do we go forward with this concept and extend it
Exactly,
and evolve it?
exactly.
But they scrapped it. It's like coming second in the constructors, then you throw away your car and build a new one. That's basically what they did. All right, I think I see some people behind you. It's time to head on out here. So last thoughts and take us away,
And
please.
I believe that's what McLaren did, and they're reaping a lot
Oh
from
no, they
that.
extended it, and they have problems
Just
too.
minor
McLaren extended.
tweaks, just minor
Yeah,
tweaks.
but, I mean, McLaren made their car more fronty, and that's why the guys are struggling. But they had to make some sort of extension because if they hadn't extended their car, they wouldn't be fast enough on high speed corners and on they would have too much drag. So even they had to. It was a sacrifice to make their car more fronty, but it wasn't a change in concept. It was moving it forward and moving out of your safety zone. But what these guys did was they totally scrapped their concept, which makes no sense. All right,
And
so last
and
thought. What are your
and
last
you know
thoughts?
that because the rear suspension has a problem and they're planning to upgrade it, they don't know how that will affect the performance as well. So
Oh, no. And I don't know why they're clutching onto
they're
this
just
season.
gambling.
If they clutch onto this season, they're going to lose next season too. If I were them, Williams is no longer putting any more money into this season, and they're still doing well. Williams is the first team now to start focusing on 2026, and it's
Yes,
going to
yeah,
pay off. James Bowles is careful; he uses
yeah.
data and slowly
Very
expands.
strategic.
My prediction is that by next year, Williams will be fighting for third place with Red Bull if Red Bull's not careful. You get my point. Williams will be behind Mercedes and McLaren next year at this rate. So last thoughts.
Yeah, it looks as if it's going to be Piastri again on pole for qualifying. He's
No,
looking
but I
very
think
strong.
Norris had the fastest time in free practice 3.
Free practice, okay. So
Norris had the fastest. Piastri had second fastest,
second and
and
Verstappen was third
but Verstappen, as usual, Verstappen was 0.5 of a second behind them in
behind
free
them.
practice 2.
Yeah.
Now he's 2 tenths. So my prediction is that it's going to come down to the wire for Verstappen to get pulled. He's going to have to pull off. He's been pulling off miracles, but he's going to have to pull off
He's
another.
complaining
perfect
about
lap.
his car bottoming and some other issues that he.
Yeah, but it's gotten better. It looked more stable, but and also for some reason teams are going slower on the soft tires than the hard. I think it's because the soft tires are too soft and they may be burning out even before one lap when they go all out. I don't know why they're having that problem. All right, so we'll be back tomorrow. Can you do a thumbnail for this one?
Yeah, sure, I'll do one.
Yeah, the title of the thumbnail is these damn tires. Okay, and you can do comic book where it's like him talking. You know what I'm saying? Flashy, like word bubble that looks like fire. And you see Hamilton saying these damn tires, and then have Mr. in the back looking at him like this. I'm serious. All right, we'll talk later.
All right. Okay, later.